Okay. All right.
What is going on? You are watching and listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. I'm your host, Steve V, in Oakland, California, wearing my Brooklyn t-shirt representing alongside Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell are you?
Hi, darling. I'm doing well. How's Oakland? And what you know about Brooklyn?
You can't wear these types of t-shirts in your own city, or at least that's my rule. Like, I can't wear I Love New York. And I got this in, of all places, Mykonos several years ago at this really cool t-shirt shop. And I just thought, oh, this will be great. But I'm in Oakland, so they always call Oakland the Brooklyn of the West Coast, and so it's kind of apropos. So I figured I'd put it on here and wear it proud.
Perfect. And I love your explanation. It makes perfect sense to me.
There you go. Well, it's the final day of Pride Month sadness, and we thought we would go out with a bang, and we have another week of hot gay sex topics. One full episode of it. No vulnerable voices this week. We will resume next week. Super excited about that. But in honor of that, we've got some Pride stories. But first things first, Kodi, how was your Pride?
It was fantastic. I went out. I fell asleep while I was about to go out, but it was great. I had some fun times at Master Beat. We were supposed to go to the Wii party, but again, we fell asleep. And it was good cuddling. I figure that's the best way to do gay pride, is to actually be cuddling with your boyfriend. So there you go.
Absolutely. I mean, Pride comes in all different packages, and I know New York was just seemingly on fire. Party like it's 1999. The Roaring 20s are back. It's just chaotic, it seems. I ducked out before I got caught up in it all. I hope you're keeping...
We missed you, darling, in New York, but we always have next year.
Yes. Well, I celebrated Pride. It was my sister's big birthday this past weekend, and we celebrated in Santa Cruz, Capitola. So much fun. A large group of us. We rented a beach house, but Pride is really everywhere. As things are opening up, you see it all over the Bay Area here on the beach. I bought a Pride Santa Cruz beach t-shirt to represent there. And we had our own Pride festivities going on this end. And as you know, San Francisco Pride coincides with New York Pride. So the Bay Area was... Oh, yeah. In fact...
Oh, you was lit then. You did your thing. I'm so proud of you. Look at that.
Absolutely. Well, this is our live show. Little known fact, we started this show last summer, 2020, on the Get Vocal platform. Next week, we are going to introduce Get Vocal. It's going to be called vocal.com 2.0. So if you watch us live, you're going to get some new bells and whistles. It's going to be a lot better platform for us to stream Tags live. So stay tuned for that beginning next week. I can't wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, let's get into hot topics because we got to get moving. Like I said, a full show of hot sex topics. The first one, though, before we get into Pride stories, we have to talk about, we all have been following Britney Spears, and I think everyone's kind of rooting for her as we all learn about her story and just being dragged in the courts and trying to get... Literally, I now understand the Free Britney movement. Turns out they were right all along, it seems.
No, right? Who would have thunk? But now I'm wholeheartedly on their side. And I'm Free Britney all day, every day.
Absolutely. Well, you know who's in the news right now is, you remember Perez Hilton? Well,
who?
Perez Hilton.
A little light shade there.
Yeah, exactly. For many of you that don't know, he used to post so many horrific things on his Perez Hilton website about Britney, including wishing she would die, just horrible
Right.
things about her when she was really going through it. And the less than convincing apology, according to Instinct magazine, was apparently Perez's way of making amends that he did this apology tour. And there were many that he used his massive social media platform, he used to bully Britney with unfathomable taunts. He used superlatives. For example, take this hideous graphic he posted. And the graphic is when actor Heath Ledger died. And he put a picture of Heath Ledger when he was in Brokeback Mountain with a heart around it. And he said, "Why couldn't Britney die?" And I mean, if that doesn't say it all.
Horrible.
Yeah, my light just went out here. Let me just fix this here. Okay, there we go. I think we're back in business.
Beautiful, no matter what.
Thank you. And so he's been on this kind of apology tour, but Perez really was the master of mean, as they're calling him. He built an empire. I was watching some old videos of him. Do you believe his apology and that he just didn't know better, and that or do you think that because he's kind of back in the news now trying to redeem himself, do you think he's still kind of at it? What do you think of that?
Look, actions speak louder than words is what I always say. And from what I understand, he is back in the media still trashing her. And I want to say that I'm surprised, but I'm not. The man, if you can wish death on somebody, then you can do anything, I feel like. And he drug her name through the mud so many times that I'm not surprised or shocked by anything that he does or says at this point. And he has a kid. Like, who let him have a child, and that he's going to raise the child with the same the spirit of meanness that he has within himself. And it's so horrible to me. And
yeah,
I just want to send all the love and support to Britney, because that's what she needs right now. She doesn't need to be brought down any more than she has already.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. He was back in the news even after he did his apology tour. And he said something recently. I don't know. Do you have that, Kodi, of what he was recently saying about her?
Yes. He said that she was posting something on her Instagram that in order to make it appear that she was doing okay, but it was from a previous vacation that she had taken.
Right. So clearly going back to those, she's lying. She's not really, telling the truth. And it's like, leave her alone. Like, just leave her alone.
Leave Britney alone. Just like Chris Crocker said back in the day, leave Britney alone.
JJ says he's just doing it to keep himself relevant and wanting another 15 minutes. Exactly. I mean, go back to just trying to be a good dad is what I have to say on that. Because, we're done with you.
Here.
All right. Well, moving on. Interestingly enough, Kodi, you didn't know this, but Madonna kicked off New York Pride in several ways. She did this by posting this huge video in Times Square for everybody to see. The video is really good. I will post this on TAGSPodcast.com for you to watch. But then she went to then she went to a favorite spot here in New York City, the Boom Boom Room, and she did a whole performance. She sang her songs. Hung Up was one of them. And and I Don't Search, I Find was the other song that she sang. But what I think was really cool, I mean, she looked amazing. She had this blue hair.
Gorgeous.
Tits were out. She had a leather harness. Sitting. She had pink satin gloves. She was on a bar performing. People like Andy Cohen, Billy Eichner, Anderson Cooper, and Amanda Lepore were all in attendance alongside Zachary Quinto, who served
Nice.
because it ultimately was a fundraiser, and it raised $200,000 for both the Ali Forney Center and House of US. Just so you guys
Nice.
know, to me, it was really cool because she did this bit in her last tour, a Madam X
Okay.
tour, where she took Polaroids of herself and she auctioned them off. So it kind of took a bit from the Madam X tour, which, by the way, is coming out, I believe, in October on Netflix, which is going to be really cool.
Ooh.
But but in addition to that, the money raised for these two charities, the Ali Forney Center is for gay homeless youth, which I didn't know this, and I think that's really cool. And the House of US or House of Us, actually, I think it is so cool because founded on the trailblazing legacy New York's legendary ballroom scene, House of Us is a radical new voguing house for the city's youth. So I think that's really cool, worthy charities that she did this for, and I love it. What were your thoughts when you heard about it?
I thought it was so amazing. Madonna is becoming synonymous with New York pride nowadays, and I love community. It's showing it's not something that is of the moment for her. She's a queer icon for a reason because so I'm here for it.
Absolutely. She's also in news recently too because Madonna, who we all know is straight, according to Queerty, demands credit for Lil Nas X's gay kiss that he did, and people on Twitter were not having it. If you all remember when Madonna kissed Britney and she performed with Christina Aguilera, and that on a major award show. Well, Lil Nas X made history last weekend when he kissed another guy during his recent performance on the BET Awards. And it was the first male-on-male smooch in the history of performances at this particular show. Some marveled that Adam Lambert did a similar thing during the 2009 AMAs. Well, Madonna posted on her Instagram a picture of Lil Nas X kissing a guy, and then, of course, her kissing Britney with the hashtag, of course, did it first in true Madonna fashion. Well, as you can imagine, so many people on Twitter were not having it and saying, why do you always have to come out of the blue, Madonna, and take the steal the thunder? Why do you gotta appropriate like you did with voguing, with the house culture, and so on and so forth? And little did they realize, Kodi, that Lil Nas X stood up for Madonna and said, we're actually friends. I went to the Madam X tour. That's Madonna. She's just kind of teasing. Yeah. So, and there's a picture that he posted of Madonna. Yeah. Where she shared a beer with him in the audience in one of her Madam X tour concerts. So, I mean, always
better
nice.
Be a Madonna stan. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what were your thoughts when you heard about this? Were you for or not for Madonna, or did you just think Twitter?
I always love Madonna, always. And yes, she did it first, but she's not a Black gay man. I just love how every performance is progressing what society deems acceptable, in quotes. So I think that I agree that she did it first. He is the latest iteration of doing it and making sure that everybody is comfortable, making people more comfortable with our sexuality. And who's not gonna? Okay, so she's a white woman kissing another white woman. Who doesn't want to see that? I know. So I probably would want to see that. But now Lil Nas X is taking it a step further. So that's what I look at it like. And she's also giving him her stamp of approval, is how I feel.
I totally agree.
I'm here for it. Yeah,
me too. And the fact that they're friends, it's kind of cool. That I think, she was just nudging him a little bit, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right,
let's
Like you do me. Exactly. Exactly. I'm going to keep this light off because it's not cooperating with me. And I think I look
Okay.
okay in this
You
amber
look
lit
beautiful
tone.
still.
Yeah. I'm turning it on and off and on and off. And I'm like, enough about some
you're,
bad
you're,
connection.
you're getting vertigo over there. I could
I
see.
am. I am. I'm just going to keep it off for now and it's good. So we will move on. Well,
Let's do it.
Ricky Martin is in the news right now saying that he lost all these followers after he posted some pictures between him and his husband, Juan Yusuf. So, kind of the story goes that Ricky Martin reposted some beautiful new photos of himself and his husband, Juan. I think I'm saying that, Juan Yusuf. They had been shot for the glossy Art Fashion Erotica magazine, Cap 74024. Most people, and if I'll post this link, literally, if you could either go to Ricky Martin's page and find it, or I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com tomorrow. But most people on social media, as you can imagine, because if you're a fan of Ricky Martin, you're going to post that, yes, I mean, they're beautiful pictures. And he did it, Kodi, primarily to kind of celebrate Pride and say, this is like we were just talking about you at the beginning of the show, to him hugging, embracing his boyfriend, his husband, actually, is how he celebrates Pride. And he thought it was going to be getting, all these things. He wasn't mad that he lost all of these followers, as he wrote in this post, but he did take to social media to say he noticed the number of followers he had significantly dropped after he posted the images. He also got some derogatory comments as well. On his social media post, he said he wasn't bothered by not having as many followers, but he was kind of more disturbed by what that represented. Today, he's quoted as saying, "I want to speak to you from my most vulnerable side." He began alongside photos of himself with manicured nail extensions. And the message was He went on to say, "A week ago, I uploaded some photos with my husband for a special edition of the magazine. For both of us, it really was a wonderful experience and a way to celebrate our pride. What I didn't expect, especially after all the work that had been done for so many years, including himself, is that a large number of people decided to unfollow him, commenting or comment derogatorily. So, of course, it's not the number of followers I'm concerned about," he said. "It's really the message behind your decision that caused me the same feeling that I had years ago before sharing publicly about my sexual orientation. That same fear that paralyzed me, tormented me, and wouldn't let me be." And that was in reference to Barbara Walters' interview when she pressed him about whether or not he's gay, and against his own wishes was just frozen up. And it really, if you've read stories about him, it took him many years to get over that. What were your thoughts about this? And like we've been talking about on a lot of our shows, more representation is really awesome for so many people, but it's also making so many people targets as
More
well.
vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's really scary that an out and proud and substantiated performer like Ricky Martin can still feel that sort of homophobia from the masses and from people. Like, if he's not immune to it, like, what does that say about regular people like you and I? It's just really scary to think about what the repercussions of sharing your authentic self could be out in the world.
Yeah, and I just go back to kind of you and how you shared that you celebrated Pride. Pride comes in so many different ways, and it's not always the parties that are awesome, but it could come in cuddling. And you're celebrating a brand new relationship. He's celebrating his marriage, and through these beautiful photographs. So we've got some more stories coming up here that are in relation to that I think you're going to like, because this next one is a Colorado man who celebrated his first Pride ever at the age of 91. So after nearly a century spent in the closet, Ken Feltz accidentally came out at 89. And this year, the Denver resident, he's now 91, celebrated his first Pride ever, proving that it's never too late to embrace who you truly are. Rachel Chateau came out with a story on The Advocate that really touched my heart. The thing is, Felt's publicly coming out almost didn't happen because he had been diagnosed with cancer. And so he was writing his memoir, including stories that included a man he once loved named Philip. Well, after reconnecting with those memories, he decided to come out to his daughter, telling her that when he married in 1963, he had destroyed everything related to Philip except for this one photo. Well, after opening up to his daughter, Feltz became empowered to do the same with a small group of his closest friends. He took to Facebook to privately come out to them, but instead posted his coming out publicly. And he got all these supportive messages as they came in. And he's quoted as saying, "I was getting messages from people all over all over about my coming out." And he told CBS's Denver affiliate, it almost all positive, very positive, over and over. Congratulations and welcome and things like that. But the experience was so liberating. It was a huge experience, he said, of freedom he shared. I wasn't looking over my shoulder, worried about who's wondering if I'm gay or not. And, Kodi, he was going to celebrate because he kind of came out, I think, in 2019. So 2020 was going to be his first Pride ever, but as we all know, the pandemic happened. So this year was his very first Pride at 91, and wow, it shows you can do anything at any time, and it's never truly too late. How touched were you, Kodi, when you heard this?
This was so awesome. I needed this story right after reading the Ricky Martin story because it's just so affirming and it's so beautiful.
Yes.
It gave me such hope. And it also made me a little bit sad for our gay brothers and sisters of the past because it allowed me to see how far we've come in society and just filled me with so much joy as well as a tinge of sadness. So I'm so happy for him and welcome to him. And I like to celebrate him right now with a drink.
Hey, cheers to him. Yes, absolutely.
Cheers to him.
It's really sparking all these people to come out in various ways. And we've got some stories lined up for you right now that from athletes to celebrities to coming out as non-binary, now bisexual. And Kodi, I think what's really interesting about these next stories is at least when I was coming out a million years ago, in the 90s, you were either gay or you were straight, or you were called derogatory words, or you were pulled out of the closet. Now we report all the time, you could be non-binary. If you don't really believe in the genders, we've been talking about non-binary. You can really come out as bisexual, and that's a whole thing. And I will tell you a funny story that I heard by Margaret Cho in just a second. But did you know that Queen Latifah kind of essentially came out on the BETs? On the BET Awards, she thanked her love, Ebony. She's been in the news for years of people always speculating, are you gay? Are you gay? Are you not? And she just never answered the question, essentially. And she said that her private life is her private life. And she stood by that. But she's been reported at being at things like Long Beach Pride and saying, I'm with my people, which her people could be anybody. And so I think that that's really
true.
Awesome. I think that her saying to her Ebony, is it Ebony? Yeah, that I think Ebony, I think that says a lot because she's still not saying I'm lesbian or putting on a label, but she's letting everybody know that Ebony's with me, I'm with Ebony, and you and isn't that a song?
Or Ebony and Ivory. Which song are we talking about?
Ivory, yeah. I think that's really awesome.
Me too. I mean, who didn't have their suspicions about Queen Latifah, though?
Well,
But it's good that she's taken this step and that she's just brought her little pinky toe out of the closet. But don't rush, honey. Do everything in your own time, as I always say. Just like the gentleman that we were talking about before. Everything in your own time, and whenever you're ready to come out, come out.
Exactly. Well, in regards to other people coming out, we were talking about Carl Nassib recently, NFL player, yes. First NFL player to officially come out as gay. Well, now there's a rugby pro, Jack Dune, who came out as bisexual. And this is pretty good because as we were talking about sports and the NFL being really conservative on last week's show, rugby is pretty much in the same boat, if not, as you were saying offline, even more rough in many ways in terms of physicality.
They don't have all that padding and stuff. And from what I understand, I don't know. I've never played rugby. I'm not a rugby pro.
Well, so he came out as bisexual the other day on a podcast. And I think he's quoted as saying, when you're bisexual, it's almost a blessing and a curse because you can't hide it. You can't hide it. You can hide it way easier, he said. You can still go out with the lads on Saturday night and do all that stuff. But then at the same time, it's easier to hide it and it's easier to not be true to yourself. Dune explained. So eventually, he's quoted as saying, I think it was in 6th year, and I told 1 or 2 people and they took it really well. So I was like, you know what? I'll just tell everyone. And if someone has a problem with it, that's on them. Despite most reacting overwhelmingly positive, Dune did encounter biphobia from some people who insisted that he was really gay. And he's quoted as saying, yeah, it's really weird because you're like, how do you have an opinion? How do you have opinions on this? Dune told host Jack Hurley on the podcast. You have no idea. Why are you saying this? When I came out,
so true.
I didn't know that this was going to be possibly a problem that I would face because you never think, oh, maybe bisexual people don't exist. When you are, because it's not something that's on your radar. It's never something that crossed my mind. And I think that's really key because Margaret Cho was talking about bisexuality the other day. She was on a talk show and she was cracking me up because she said when she first came out as a lesbian, and you know, her parents, she's from Korea. And if you've ever been to any of her shows, like I have, she does great imitations of her mom and dad, but mainly her mom. And she said,
I almost wanted to do the impression, but I was like, I will not be able to. No, I can't.
I'll do the one thing that she did, but so she tells on the show that because she grew up where I grew up in San Francisco, so very liberal. And her parents had a bookstore, and in the bookstore they had plenty of LGBTQ or plenty of gay fiction and maybe even porn. I might be making that last part up, but it was in like a gay neighborhood and they had a lot big client. So that sets the stage to her saying, when I told my parents I was a lesbian, and she was one of those like mohawk, combat boots, torn up this, all that, Sid Vicious, that her parents were like, okay. And then when she told them later on that she'd switched, that, oh, I'm straight now, they were like, okay, fine. Well, when she told them finally, where she's at right now, that mom and dad, I'm bisexual, they said, oh, I don't. That's the only bit I'm going to do.
That's what I was trying to avoid, but okay. Do it again for me. What were they like again?
Oh. So
my favorite is when she does her mother, and it's like the Muran, but that's because that's her name in Korean, I believe.
Right? Can you do it?
No.
Oh. So she tells them, and the whole point of the story is she says, my parents could handle me being a lesbian. They could handle me being straight. They could not understand bisexuality. In other words, like our last guy that we were just talking about, rugby player, that it really is a place. And she likens it to layovers. So where a lot of people are like, oh, that's just a layover, like in DC. There's, you know how there's all these airports across the country that are
Yeah.
these huge hubs, and they're known as these Phoenix,
Uh,
Atlanta, DC. And so what she says is they're not like flights and layovers, but actually they're actual destinations for some people. And I thought that was like the best like analogy that you could
It took me
ever
a
give.
second. I was like, I don't get it because that's an actual real place and I don't understand what she's talking about. But I got it after you explained it to me the second time.
Anyways, like Jack June, I think coming out as bisexual is giving more people, it really is a thing. We featured it on this show before, and I think it's just really, really awesome. Related to this, there's an Australian actor who's really hot, by the way. He goes, yeah, Hugh Sheridan just came out as non-binary. And I think what's really cool about this is he also, much like Ricky Martin, was in a magazine called DNA Magazine. Do you know the magazine, Kodi?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I heard the story before you sent it over to me.
Okay, yes. So he's in these really also, like Ricky, amazing black and white, sexy, embracing his partner in all these beautifully shot photos. And while celebrating making the cover of DNA, Australian actor, according to Out Magazine, Hugh Sheridan came out as non-binary. So he's quoted as saying, I am still a human. They, because he goes by they wrote on Instagram about their new cover of DNA. But I'm in a monogamous relationship with another human who I love. And he says, I don't accept a label because it limits me. If you want to take it, take it. I chose 0 labels for no other reason except the exclusion, limitations, separation, I believe are all one deep down. And to me, that spoke volumes. In talking about non-binary recently, we had somebody write in to us that wanted a gay man that listens to our show, a new listener, shout out to you, you know who you are, that asked when we were talking about non-binary, about not having going by one gender, he wanted me to send him over a link because his niece just came out as non-binary. And if you, Kodi, had more options when you were younger, would you have chosen, maybe been a little open to some of these other new terms instead of what the limitations you had when you were coming out?
I believe so. I think sexuality, and I've said this many, many times, is a spectrum, like so many other people. And I do think that if I had the knowledge and the language to express myself in a different way, there's a good chance that I would have. But I didn't. It wasn't an option for me back when I came out in 1800.
Okay.
Right. So I think that, and it's not a crime to not know about non-binary or these other labels, but please take the time to educate yourself about them because it's so valuable to know, and it's so valuable to have the knowledge to be able to express yourself in those ways.
Absolutely.
What do you think? Would you have decided on a different label?
Well, you know, the more I think that I hear about these terms, and we can think, you can actually reflect and not be pushed out of the closet. So when you hear Ricky Martin's story about being forced out of the closet, much to due to Barbara Walters, I think, and because I was essentially outed, it's a whole long story, I'll tell it on an after show soon, that I think I probably would reflect a little bit more and I would choose they. To be honest, I would, because I think I agree wholeheartedly with this actor that just spoke from Australia. And I just think I've always had masculine femininity and so many things. And I think labels are so constricting. And I really think I would have chosen like they. Yeah, absolutely. I think it speaks, you know, I really think Queen Latifah, finally, after all these years, she avoided talking about this, and she has every right to. I think in some ways also, and it's worked for her, but I think in other ways, she got this Lifetime Achievement Award, and she's seeing some of these kids coming out as bisexual, coming out, thanking their girlfriends. We wanted to shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson, who thanked her girlfriend. Yeah, for making the Olympic team. You're seeing all these examples of people coming out, rugby players, NFL players coming out as gay, coming out as bisexual, coming out as non-binary, thanking their girlfriends, but not really saying a label. This is beautiful to me. These are options that we all have, that you can claim a label, you don't have to claim a label, but you're sharing a little bit more about yourself. When I was coming out, we didn't have any options. You were either outed and then called derogatory names, or you said you were bi, like I did for a nanosecond, and no one believed you. Okay, I really wasn't a layover, but that's okay too. And
you in
but that's okay. I was in Dulles.
Exactly.
But it's okay to be in Dulles for a minute if you really are on a layover. And I think that's
exactly.
And so I think it's so beautiful to me to see this flower open up of these beautiful new ways that we can claim who we are that we didn't have, and to see that, I think it's so beautiful. I'm really touched by it. And I do, to answer your question one more time, probably would have chosen they, and I still can, but
exactly. It's never too late to explore.
Well, we had that example of in Colorado, so it's never too late. So stick around, kiddos. I may just be known as Stevie Lay. Exactly.
Perfect.
All right. Well, let's move.
I will. Let's adhere to all your.
Oh, you'll be the first to know. All right. Well, we got to keep rolling, and I'll just read you the title of this next story. There's a TikTok trend. What would you call it? Thing that was going around. What have you tried sexually on TikTok that you would never try again? Essentially is what it is. And this gay guy took to TikTok this week to kind of add his 2 cents. And again, the question was, what have you tried sexually that you would never try again? Quote, being hospitalized from 50 guys in 1 week. Don't do it. It's no good for your health, he advised. And I don't know. What were your thoughts? We didn't get any other information from him other than...
I know, right?
He slept
All I have are questions.
He ended up in the hospital, though.
Yeah.
For... you offline, though, Kodi, had a different response. What's wrong with that?
Oh, trust me, that response was coming. Because at first I was like, what is wrong with that? Because 50 guys, that seems like goals, right?
In 1 week? In 1 week.
You know what? Everybody has to have a number that they aspire to, and that might just be mine. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
I would stick with this number here.
8.
8. That's one every day and doubling up on Saturday night. Come on now.
Ooh. All right,
and even that's exhausting.
What is 50 a week? That's like 8 a day.
Right. We're both not math people. Is it 8 a day?
I'm not a math. I don't know. I just.
Well, one person wrote on the comment section, like, does somebody even come in contact with 50 people that they would even be attracted to in 1 week? And
I don't think so.
I think, so that could mean you're really like just sleeping with the bottom of the barrel, which could be why he ended up in the hospital. The other thing that came to mind, though, on the positive, the other thing that came to mind is, what if you went to like a couple sex parties, and you know how maybe there were like 12
maybe
people.
I have.
Yeah, maybe I have. I was gonna slut shame you, but I won't.
Thank you very much. That's not productive, and
I'm biting my tongue.
Yeah, so I just have more questions. I don't understand how or why. First of all, how he's slept with 50, because like we did the math and I think it's very substantial and trustworthy math that it's 8 people a day. And he'd go to the hospital for? Was it because the only thing that I can imagine is that maybe something with his rectum happened.
Yeah, and I think I did read a little something that it had something to do with that. And if you saw, I don't know if you watched the TikTok video, but
I did.
For his expression, for somebody that had sex with 50 guys, it looks like he was probably all for it, or it was a challenge, or he was horny that week more than others.
I've been there.
However, when you watch this, and I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com, when you watch the video and you see he really looks like, anytime I've had to go to the hospital before from a sex-related incident. I've told it on the after show. You could join it by going to patreon.com/talk about gay sex. In one of our Doc and Dirty shows, I told the whole show, you get those extra a subscriber and you support Tags Podcast and Tags Live. But with that, it's never a fun situation, and I'm speaking from experience, to go to the hospital because you have to, because of a sexually related incident. It's just not. I mean, so when I saw his expression, he was really serious.
Yes, he was.
And I think at first I looked at him kind of shamefully, but I don't anymore.
Oh, really?
I just kind of was like, oh my God. And he told it on TikTok and I was judgy.
Yeah.
But I take the judgment back now, because after discussing here, I actually think, first, anybody watching that, it's because they're talking about Hot Facts Summer. You're currently living in it right now, the heat. But they're also talking about a repeat of the Roaring 20s and kind of like going crazy. Everybody's like and so before you think about having sex with 50 plus guys in 1 week, maybe think about it and curate your list a little bit, is what I like to say.
Oh, I thought that you were saying that those are your goals now, to have sex with 50 people in 1 week.
No, it never was. I mean, I want good sex with like a couple guys in a 1 week, and I would be happy.
Okay, 8.
Yeah.
We know 8 is your number now.
I am wearing the number 8, so I could do that. All right. We have to move on, though, because I want to get to these next 2 stories. This one is, in Redditors reported that frottage, you guys know the act of rubbing against another person and with fully clothed. Sometimes it can involve your dick. And they actually say it's underrated. Well, some men won't even watch porn unless it contains full. Some guys won't even watch porn unless there's fucking involved. But not according to this Reddit thread, which states that frottage or frotting is insanely underrated. And like I said, it's the practice of rubbing against another person fully clothed. You could do it just with 2 rubbing against each other, and that's hot too. What's your thoughts on frottage? Do you think it's underrated?
Yes.
That's
for you. Is the simple answer. Is it? But I was confused, because is it only if you rub 2 dicks together, or because I've done dry humping before with like the butt and the penis, and I do that practically every night. I love it.
with no clothes or clothes on?
No clothes and clothes and every which way you can think possible.
I mean, I think according
I use it as
to
a way.
Go ahead.
As a precursor to sex, or even just as and something to arouse myself before or after, or just something. The actual act.
Well, here, let me read you Oxford's
dictionary. All right, dwelling.
because I'm practically British, describes.
You and Madonna.
Shut it. Shut it.
I couldn't help it. It just like bounced out of my mouth.
Oxford's dictionary describes frottage as the practice of touching or rubbing against the clothed body of another person. They actually say in a crowd, as a means of
crowd.
Yeah, but
what's going on,
Scooby? As a means of
two
obtaining
Scooby sounds in
two
show.
Scooby sounds in one show. Yikes. As a means of sexual gratification. So, but you know, the where I got this from says they don't know that it really always means in a crowd, and I've never heard that part, but it just means rubbing against another person, and I think it has variance, if you will. So
yes.
you choose to rub against your boy, I'm assuming it's your boy's ass.
It is. It better not be anybody else.
Yeah, right. So I think with that, yeah, I think it just means that. I mean, the whole dick on dick thing can be fun, actually.
It is fun. Yeah.
But I find that if the dicks aren't aligned perfectly, like mine might be a little thicker than, say, the person I'm rubbing. Hopefully it's not. Just saying.
Oh yeah.
That the lineup is properly and it's like rolling off. And so I also think you need to
have a lot of experience with this.
I thought you were going to say girth.
Well, that too, but experience is what I was going for.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Hi, Greg.
Listener watching us right now. Greg, do you like frottage? And what's your thoughts on that? Let us know. We'll report back to our listening audience. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's hot. It can be hot for sure. And
do you look at it as the sexual act? Can it be the sexual act for you, or is it more foreplay or things of that nature?
I think it's more, yeah, I've had it in the past I've done it just to myself because I also read you can kind of do it, you know, on a bed or against something. I think it could be solo act. It could also be fun with any kind of, with another person that you're just trying to get to know that maybe never gets there, but it could be a fun date thing if you could really contain yourselves and you want to come back to my place. Yeah, I'll have a glass of wine, and you maybe end up there.
That sounds dangerous, Steve.
No, but here's the deal. Deal. Listen up. I'm giving you some.
Who has that much self-control? Okay, give me.
Well, I'm just saying.
Good advice.
It's if you did that with somebody on a first date, and you really like this person, and you know us gays, many of us, I'll speak for myself, get horny. If you brought them up for a glass of wine or something, or a beverage of choice. Mm-hmm. And you get into making out and you want to kind of go to that next level. I have been there where we get to the frottage moment because I think it's really hot, but I don't want them to see all the goods yet. In other words, I want
with the clothes on. Okay. All right.
On. Brooklyn in the house.
You know.
Mic up. So I think with that in mind, that it could actually lead to a second date, because oftentimes, the truth be told, I've gone there on that first date or had sex with somebody and we had great conversation, but we wham bam, thank you ma'am, did it, thank you Sam, and they got all they wanted out of it and it wasn't going to be interesting anymore probably, and no one really followed up with a second round or a second date. And so what I'm saying is, that frottage moment could lead it to like, this is hot and heavy, but you stop it at a certain point. Even if one of you came in your pants, they still didn't see the goods. I mean, if it's that good,
it's true. And you get to test your sexual chemistry. So I see your point, and now first date.
Okay, we're gonna ask this on an Instagram story tomorrow and see where you land on the subject. All right. Absolutely. And we got to get to our poll. We had more stories, but guess what? They'll just come in next week. That's all there is to that. I love that.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you could put that in the comment section, it's time to play Thirsty Thursday. We know this is a Wednesday show, but this comes out Thursday on all podcast platforms. I feel like I'm talking like an announcer because I'm holding the mic today. I'm out of town. And our friends over at Straight Up Gay Porn must have not been too busy, or they had a wild they had a wild weekend celebrating Pride that they only came up with 10 gay porn stars this week. You know how, Kodi, they often have like 23 or
I know, right? It was a light week this week. I don't know what's going on,
or these guys were like us, you know, and celebrating Pride, and we're hungover this week and said, "Listen,
that's probably what it was.
We'll get 10 out, and it'll be what it is." So, out of the 10, what was your favorite of the week? And your job in this Thirsty Thursday segment is to describe who was your favorite one, who took the best picture, but you got to describe it because we're an auditory podcast.
Yes, we are, darling. All right. So my favorite goes to Felix Fox, aka Gatlin Fox.
Ooh.
And normally I don't stand a bathroom selfie, but this time, how could I not? He's in the bathroom holding his phone. He's taking a picture in the mirror, an all red bathroom, by the way. So visually, it's already striking. And his body is just looks oiled up and ripped and muscly and delicious. And he's a bottom. I know because I looked him up on, I think my mouth a little bit.
It is. Whip up that drool over there in Brooklyn.
He is beautiful, and I have to give him my vote this week.
That's a really good
What about
one.
you?
I mean, you could bounce like several quarters on that rock hard chest, and they would bounce
on
high.
The front. You should see the back, baby, because it's delicious.
Oh, okay. Now, yeah, I was surprised because Kodi, you're an ass man, and so
I'm a butt man. Yeah,
but I checked out the
butt before. Exactly. I followed him on Twitter, so.
Mine has to go to Vander Pulaski, who's right below Felix Fox, yours. And the funny thing is, so this guy, it's set in a campsite with a tent in the back. It looks like the morning. And if I woke up to this, I would sit right on, well, he is, so Vander Pulaski.
Santa Claus fantasies all day.
He's sitting in the woods somewhere. He's got his pitch tent behind him. He's got the camping chair next to him, and there's another tent. He's sitting in one of those tacky camping chairs, but it doesn't matter. His legs are spread open wide. He's got nothing but a trucker hat on. He's smiling towards the camper. He's got this beautiful beard, nice body, but not like your Felix Fox. I mean, but doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because he's beautiful.
His balls are so big and nice, firm, like you can grab them, and the dick is just gargantuan, but just the right size.
So fat and thick.
That if I was in that tent behind him and I woke up, I know where exactly I would be sitting next, and it wouldn't be one of those camper chairs that are so tacky. That's all I'm going to say on that. Do you know where I would sit, Kodi?
I feel like I have a clue. I think that. Oh man, Greg says Paul Wagner too.
Did you check out Paul Wagner, Kodi?
I'm about to look right now. Oh, he's the very next one. Oh, and this is a video. Yeah, it's pretty hot.
Okay.
It's just a video of him swinging his member back and forth in the mirror, and
also in the bathroom. It looks like
it's pretty great.
Yeah, all right. I'm not mad at it. Thank you. Well, we are out of time. We want to wrap up Pride Week and say it's been an amazing month celebrating Pride.
Yes,
I'm so happy to do it alongside you, Kodi, as well. Yeah, happy Pride, everybody. Happy hot Pride. Vax summer, because we're just going into the middle of the summer here, and it's going to be so fun, I think. But continue to be safe. But continue to follow us at TAGSPodcast. You can DM us, ask for sex or relationship advice, and we will give it loud and proud for you. At TAGSPodcast on Instagram. And follow Kodi. He's got 2 of them. He's a life coach. So you can go to at KMD Coaching, at KMD Coaching for his life coaching. And his personal account is at Mr. Maurice, at Mr. Maurice. All right. Continue having hot gay sex. Thanks, Kodi.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Steve. Go follow Ricky Martin too, guys.
Yes, exactly. Fabulosity.